The summer I turned 23, my best friend Jake and I decided to drive from Phoenix to Los Angeles. It should have been a simple 4-hour drive, but sometimes the most innocent decisions lead to the darkest places. We left around 8 p.m., thinking we'd avoid the desert heat. The first hour went perfectly, until Jake's GPS started glitching. When we reached what should have been a familiar exit, everything looked different. The signs were weathered and unreadable, and the highway seemed older, more cracked. 20 minutes passed, then 40. No other cars, no lights, no gas stations. The silence was complete. No wind, no insects, nothing. When we pulled over to check our phones, there was no signal at all. We kept driving, hoping to find civilization. The asphalt gave way to dirt, then to what looked like an old mining trail. That's when we saw the lights ahead, a pale, bluish glow hovering above the ground around what appeared to be an abandoned settlement. As we got closer, the lights formed a perfect circle around old wooden structures that seemed to lean at impossible angles. Between the buildings, shadows were moving. But they didn't move like people. They glided smoothly, much taller and thinner than any human should be. We sat watching these shadow figures search through the settlement. Every time one turned toward us, I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the desert cold. When Jake started the engine to back away, every shadow stopped and turned directly toward our car. I got out to investigate and found a headstone 50 yards inside. Sarah Elizabeth Morrison, 1965 to 1987. Beloved daughter, lost in the storm, found her way home. Later research revealed a 1987 newspaper article about Sarah Morrison, who died in a car accident during a severe storm while driving home from Portland. Several drivers reported seeing a The summer I turned 23, my best friend Jake and I decided to drive from Phoenix to Los Angeles. It should have been a simple 4-hour drive, but sometimes the most innocent decisions lead to the darkest places. We left around 8 p.m., thinking we'd avoid the desert heat. The first hour went perfectly, until Jake's GPS started glitching. When we reached what should have been a familiar exit, everything looked different. When she got in, I noticed she wasn't dripping wet like she should have been. Her dress was damp, but not soaking, and she wasn't shivering despite the cold. She asked me to take her to Riverside Cemetery, which seems strange for midnight in a storm. As we drove, she told me about her life, but her story kept changing. She mentioned events from decades ago as recent, and referred to places I knew had been closed for years. When I asked what year she thought it was, she said, 1987. Of course, the temperature inside the car began dropping, despite the heater running. When I adjusted the rearview mirror, I realized I couldn't see her reflection at all. We reached the cemetery, and she got out. Instead of walking to the entrance, she headed straight for the tall iron fence that surrounded the property. I watched in shock as she walked directly through the iron bars, as if they weren't there. I got out to investigate and found a headstone 50 yards inside. Sarah Elizabeth Morrison, 1965 to 1987. Beloved daughter, lost in the storm, found her way home. Later research revealed a 1987 newspaper article about Sarah Morrison, who died in a car accident during a severe storm while driving home from Portland. Several drivers reported seeing a young woman hitchhiking on that same stretch afterward, but she always vanished before anyone could help. Every stormy night on that route, I still check my passenger seat in the rearview mirror. Three years ago, my girlfriend Emma and I were driving from Chicago to Denver when exhaustion forced us to stop at a Nebraska rest stop at 3 a.m. Only 3 other vehicles were there: an old pickup, a sedan, and an RV parked away from the lights. The building was dimly lit with flickering fluorescent lights. Most vending machines were out of order. While Emma used the restroom, I noticed the pickup truck now had someone sitting inside, staring directly at our car. Emma came out pale and shaken, wanting to leave immediately. That's when all the lights went out, replaced by dim red emergency lighting. Through the windows, I saw the vehicles had moved. The pickup blocked our car, the sedan moved aside, and the RV blocked the exit. We were trapped. 3 people had entered while the lights were out: a tall man in coveralls, a gray-haired woman, and a young guy in a baseball cap. They weren't threatening overtly, but something felt very wrong. The tall man had asked about car trouble, where we were going, if anyone expected us in Denver. Our phones had no signal. The woman approached, carrying what looked like a tire iron, suggesting we rest in their RV. We escaped through the back door onto a loading dock. The 3 vehicles patrolled the area with headlights like searchlights, hunting us as we hid behind a dumpster. Just before sunrise, a state trooper arrived for a routine check. The RV immediately fled through a back exit I hadn't noticed. The trooper said there had been reports of suspicious activity and missing travelers in that area. We made it to Denver safely, but Emma still has nightmares. The trooper never followed up, and when I called weeks later, police claimed no record of the incident. Sometimes, I wonder what happened to other travelers who stopped there on the wrong night, when no patrol car was coming to save them.